your eyes back in your head.
Like me, too.
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skin the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.
Something isn't adding up. Something isn't adding up. What's going on, people? Your boy, Mad Mike, coming at you guys with yet another impromptu show. This is really funny, y'all. I mean, it's really amazing to see. It really is amazing. We really in an age where accountability just does not exist anymore. Accountability does not exist. I knew this dude just like I can't even look him in the face and take him seriously after what I just. It's real interesting to see a guy sit in front of his best friends and try to act like he don't know where it came from, how it came along. Like, come on, bro. You gonna see. So if you guys have not already seen it, okay, I'm gonna pin it in the comment section so you guys can see it for yourself. But some ain't adding up. Something ain't adding up. I just find it real funny that Julio don't know nothing about nothing. You don't know where the stigma, you don't know where it came from that you don't practice. You don't know where that came from, Julio Quinteros. You have no idea where that came from. First of all, I want to say what's going on to everybody. Trucker Mike, what's going on? Keisha, I'm glad. Rashad, how you doing? And thanks to Rashad for sending this to me, Ghost Peppers. Christy, how you doing, Christy? This is fucking hilarious. This is one of the most like accountability does not exist anymore. Motherfuckers have a problem saying you was dead freaking wrong. This dude gonna sit up here and tell the whole world that he don't know where the idea of Julio Jones himself not practicing. You don't know where that came from. You have no idea where that came from. You gonna sit up here and try to tell me and Falcon fans all over the world, football fans all over the world that you don't know where the idea of you not practicing came. You don't know where that came from, Julio? Let me ask you guys in the chat right now. Where do you guys think the idea, or better yet, do you think Julio Jones is telling the truth? That's what I want to. Do you think Julio Jones is telling the truth when he says he doesn't know where the idea of him not practicing came from? And I like how he tried to say that him not working hard, that's not what he said. He said, you're going to have to practice. He said he got word from other people around the league that Arthur Smith said he does not practice. Rashad says Julio Jones looking real shady right now. No, I want everybody's honest opinion. Tell what's going on. Guess Julio think accountability never applies to him. Like I said, I really want to know what everybody thinks. Do you personally believe that Julio Jones doesn't know where the idea of him not practicing came from? But I like how in the video clip that he says the idea of him working hard. Nobody questioned the fact that you either play hard or work hard. But there's a difference between working hard when everybody else work hard and working hard when the hell you feel like working hard. AKA taking days off and practices off. Rich, what's going on? Southside, what's going on? I just love how he worded it. I love how he said it in that clip. And like I said, y'all check it out and tell me what you believe. Because what I got from that is that a guy tried to reword everything. He tried to reword what was said to him not working hard. I don't think anybody ever questioned the fact that Julio doesn't play hard. I think we all know he played hard. I don't think anybody ever questioned that. I don't think Arthur Smith would even question the fact that Julio Jones doesn't play hard, because he does. Rich said he get that because he liked to practice by himself and not with the team. I mean, look, my thing is this is where, look, word travels fast in the NFL. Okay? He's a piece of absolute horse shit if he doesn't believe that word does not travel around the NFL, especially when coaches leave and with players, but especially coaches. Word travels fast about all types of players. And you, with a straight face, sat down next to Roddy and Harry Douglas and said you don't know where they got the idea of you not practicing. Bro, you was practicing, but you wasn't doing anything. We got people that was there for the Falcaholic. We got people that was from Fox 5, Channel 2, 11. Like every news outlet, D-led. Everybody was reporting the fact that you did not practice. You was at practice and you were doing your own thing. What are you talking about? You don't understand where the idea that Arthur Smith, when he came here, he said Julio is going to have to practice. And conveniently, when you heard that, you copped an attitude. You copped an attitude. Arthur Smith was your perfect out to get the fuck away from Atlanta. You use Arthur Smith as a shield to steal Arthur Blank's money, to sucker punch Matt Ryan in the fucking face. That's what you did, Julio. That you don't have an idea where it came from. Every fucking reporter and every fucking article in Atlanta was saying that you did not practice, that you weren't practicing, that Dan Quinn allowed his veteran players to practice the absolute minimum a lot of the times. And conveniently in that clip, I don't know if he meant or it slipped out, but Harry Douglas said, well, man, you just want him to, have his hamstring shoot out. And you don't know where. Harry Douglas literally said it in the clip where he talking about his hamstring. So Julio, you know why you weren't practicing. It was clearly because you was injured. It was clearly because you was old. But you're going to sit up here and say that you don't know where it comes, and your homeboy sitting right next to you, he didn't know that I don't think he knew he said it, but Harry Douglas said it. It was because of your hamstring. He had a bunion removed in 2017. He lived without, and for the rest of their life, why not get removed in the off season? Look, I'm just saying, all the nagging injuries amount to improper body conditioning. I remember several times he claimed to have injuries. His toes, did not practice with the team. Then only played certain games and sat out, especially at the end. This is the stuff. This dude is using Arthur Smith, a guy that is conveniently no longer with the Atlanta Falcons. He's conveniently no longer with the Atlanta Falcons. And you know what's interesting about Julio? He could have been said this. He didn't have a real reason as to why he left the Atlanta Falcons. Why he left the Atlanta? He did not have a real reason. He concocted this bull crap cockamamie ass story to try to get in good graces with the fans. That's what he did. This is what Julio Jones is saying. We saw you for 8 years straight taking plays off. Second down, third down, first down, especially when we going through a long drive. We saw you go to the sideline for a breather. Did that have to do anything with your hamstring or your toes or what? With your foot? Why you kept going to the sideline? You went to the sideline more than any number one receiver I've ever seen. But you don't know where the stories came about you not practicing. Matthew, how you doing, sir? I can't believe the Titans gave the Falcons a second round for Julio. Julio had them toast for a while for that. And this is I just can't look at, like, looking at Julio, he's just such a liar. He's such a liar. He's an absolute liar. He knew this man told the whole world that he had no idea Shannon Sharpe was gonna call him. That he was caught off guard. If you was caught off guard, you should have kept your goddamn mouth closed. If you were kept caught off guard, why open your mouth? If you were caught off guard about what Shannon Sharpe, that was your time to say, hey man, we going through this, and I'm gonna just keep it to myself. It's all business right now, but it is what it is. But no, he went out of his way to say to Shannon Sharpe that I'm out of here. He could have not answered the phone, Christy. He could have said, nah, bro, I don't know. Look, I'm busy right now, whatever the case may be. But he answered the phone and he talked. But you gonna sit up here and say to our freaking face that you were caught off guard by Shannon Sharpe calling you, that you had no idea? Man, get up out of here, man. Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you fooling? This dude done concocted this story for the last 2 years, and this is the best thing that he could do. You should just come out and just say, hey, bro, I'm out of look, I had a long time. I just want to get to the next stage of my career. See what's out there. We would have respected that. We would have respected that. But this bullshit that you didn't know, you were caught off guard by Shannon Sharpe, and then now all of a sudden you talking about Arthur Smith said you have to practice, and you don't know where the idea came from? Come on, people. Come on, people. Trigger Mike, bro, like, that's what I'm talking about. If you were caught off guard, that's what fucking people do. And don't answer the mother plucker. if I'm asleep or have sleep and I don't really want to talk at that time, guess what we do? Just say, hey man, I'm gonna call you right back, man. I'm a little busy right now. Not right now. I'm not feeling the best right now. But he took it amongst himself to sit up here and say, man, guess what, man? Guess what, man? I'm out of here. This man went out of his damn way to sit up here and talk about he out of here. But he was so fucking caught off guard by Shannon Sharpe calling him. Motherfucker, who gave him permission to even fucking call you? Why are you giving Shannon Sharpe your number if you so fucking caught off guard? You know he a member of the fucking media. You lying piece of absolute dog turd. So man, what's going on?
What the hell is going on here?
Quintero's done got on. Quintero's done got on. He done got on the podcast with Roddy and Harry Douglas, and I'm told the world that the reason why one of the main reasons why he left Atlanta is because he got word around the league that Arthur Smith told him that he doesn't practice. And that was one of the main reasons why he left.
Hold, wait. Whoa. Say that one more time. I'm just getting off of work. I'm still smelling ties on my goddamn body. I just got off work. What happened?
Let me see if I can play this. So maybe let me see if I can play this. Let me see if I can play this if it's loud enough.
I ain't mean to interrupt the flow of the show, man. I ain't mean to interrupt.
Here we go, kid.
To some of the players, and they were just like, yeah, he got in his head that you don't practice. That I don't practice. Even when I had the conversation with Tennessee, I'm on the phone. It's like, yeah, you know, you're gonna have to practice. I was like, what are y'all talking about? You're gonna have to practice. And that's what I do. This is who I am. Y'all don't even know me. And that's a whole nother thing in my head. I was just like, so new head coach at Atlanta just came from over here, and now these guys talking about, but I have to practice. So the message and the word out that I don't practice. So who's saying I don't practice? There's a whole nother. It's just so much. It was just like so much hate. It's been trying to flip a narrative. All of them coming together at the same time, right? You see, and then another, even with Art, like the whole thing. I talked to some players, and they was like, yeah, he got in his head that you don't practice. That I don't practice. Even when I had the conversation with Tennessee, I'm on the phone. It's like, yeah, you know, you're gonna have to practice. I was like, what are y'all talking about? You're gonna have to practice. And that's what I do. This is who I am. Y'all don't even know me. And that's a whole nother thing in my head. I was just like, so new head coach at Atlanta just came from over here, and now these guys talking about, but I have to practice. So the message and the word out that I don't practice. So who's saying I don't practice? Right, on me and who I am, and try to make up a persona like, oh, this guy's lazy. He doesn't practice. No, what you mean?
Hold on. Go ahead, pause that.
This is Quintero. So not only Arthur Smith, he said the Tennessee Titans on top of it said, Julio, you know you're gonna have to practice, right?
Oh, okay. So he's saying he felt some type of way because Tennessee said that he had to practice. That is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. He said Arthur Smith had it in his mind when he became the Atlanta Falcons head coach that Julio did not practice. Word out was he did not practice. So I'm assuming that Julio is thinking in his head that somewhere in Atlanta said he doesn't practice. Well, motherfucker, everybody know you don't practice.
That sounds like a Dan Quinn problem to me.
That sounds like a Dan Quinn or whoever.
That sounds like a Dan Quinn problem to me.
The thing is, even with that doesn't mean coaches did it because we got We got a lot of these reporters that are friends with other people in organizations. That doesn't necessarily mean the Falcons snitched on Julio. These reporters gossip. They trade information. How I know? Because I was once in them, close to a lot of them. We get a lot of inside information that we can't talk about. That doesn't mean the Falcons told on you.
Is that I kind of hear that Julio feel like his pride was getting tried by people who don't even know him.
Man, that's a cat. Look, go ahead, Chris. What do you think about
Here's
that?
the thing. Here's the thing. If a lot of people, like you said, if a lot of people are saying that, and like you said, that sounds like you said, not only is that a Dan Quinn problem, but like you said, that goes straight off to what the reporters have been putting out. So
Yes.
remember, these motherfuckers, D. Liz, Steve Weiss, all these folks are covering these practices on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
We keep forgetting that D. Lid has a lot of pull because he's on the Hall of Fame voting committee.
Yes.
And if your reputation is that you don't practice and these guys are reporting on it, let's just be honest with you. As much as others don't care for D. Lid's takes on a lot of things, a lot of people takes his word as the gospel.
Yes. He's a like one thing I will never say about
Man,
he's not a liar, but he can be annoying. I've never known D Lid to be a liar and just to put out something that's not true.
man, like I said, if I just my personal opinion on it,
Mm-hmm.
man, that was Julio Jones wanting to get the fuck out, bro.
Yeah, that's it.
That's my personal opinion.
That's exactly what I said.
Because the issue that came down with what the team couldn't build anything,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the majority of the team slash coaching staff that was on that quote Super Bowl squad was already gone.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Julio Jones is close to Derrick Henry. He been working out with Derrick Henry
Yes. Yep.
in all
That's
season
another
for a
Alabama guy.
long time. Per him and Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm. That's why he got out of there so fast because he knew what the word on him was, and he knew that his hamstring was on. Look, that shit was literally ham threads. Okay, it wasn't even a string no more.
See, the problem that comes down with this, and it is the question that you have with who that the biggest question that you will have with Julio Jones in this situation is why would you fight for a contract extension to a team you didn't want to be a part of?
Mm-hmm.
Because folks have to remember he didn't play under that contract extension. He never did.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee was willing to for most of that money of that contract extension. That's why the Falcons did what they did to trade Julio Jones. Y'all gotta remember that contract extension he got, he never played under in an Atlanta Falcon
Nope.
uniform.
Nope.
My thing is if the issue came down to I'm gonna just flat out say he didn't want to play under Arthur Smith.
That's
That's all it
all.
come down to. He
That's
didn't want
all
to
it
play under
was.
Arthur Smith because Arthur Smith was an unfamiliar coach to him.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna
He
take.
was
I'm gonna take
also
it a little deeper. I'm gonna take it just a little deeper. He was a gossiping little bitch looking for some dirt on Arthur Smith just so he couldn't hate. He started looking around and looking around and looking around and try to find something that he didn't like about him, so he'll have a way out. Julio had
Julio
a
had
habit
a
of
habit.
coming out on fire. Then by week 3, he has an injury. He did the same thing with the Bucks. I mean, look, this ain't no word on you. This truth. This is truth. And this is what I'm saying to myself. Like, what you mean you don't know where it came from? You know exactly where it came. It came from the entire league. If you got people in Tennessee telling you, it's convenient that you just said that. Real interesting that you said that he heard from Tennessee. He didn't say the Tennessee organization. He didn't say the front office. He didn't say coaches. He just said people at Tennessee said it. So you might be on to something about Derrick Henry.
Cause what it sounded like to me is Derrick Henry sounded like he pulled some strings to make that shit happen for Julio to go to
Yep.
Tennessee.
Yep.
And ironically, Julio got cut after 1 year, and
hmm
Derrick Henry gets cut literally a year, maybe 2 years after that.
Arthur Smith had no reason to lie. I mean, the thing is, he Julio Jones. I mean, like
Because the
that's what
thing,
I
the
don't.
thing with Julio, the thing with Julio Jones, physically gifted and resume wise, is one of the greatest receivers we've seen in this last 10 to 15 years,
Without question.
which is a fact. The thing about it is, with him being that gifted of a specimen, he's allowed to have certain. I ain't gonna say privileges, but it's the benefit of the doubt.
The benefit of the doubt. If he's hurt, if he say he can't go, he'll get the benefit of the doubt. From Bucks week 1 came out fired, running in rounds, making some plays, looked completely fine, and even said he was feeling the best in a while. And week 2, he late scratch, limited practice. This is why I like I can't take any. He just Julio just looked like a old bitter liar, just a fucking liar at this point. Like all of a sudden now you trying to like Arthur Smith is no longer. It's convenient that he never started talking crap about the Atlanta Falcons. He never talked crap about the Atlanta Falcons like that. I think that's really interesting in itself too. He hasn't talked about Arthur Blank. He ain't talked about Matt Ryan. He ain't talked about Roddy. He ain't talked about nobody in his Falcons organization about him getting traded. He never really even adjust. He's never really even talked about it if you really think about it. And his podcast and clips of his podcast have been coming out for what, the last week or two? And he still ain't addressed nothing Atlanta Falcons. What went
So so
wrong with
ba-
the Atlanta
so
Falcons?
so basically, what it just sounds like is he had a problem with Arthur Smith,
He
Arthur
clearly
Smith
did.
and Terry, Arthur Smith and Terry Fondo.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Let me guess, and I'm gonna make a hypothetical guess here.
Okay.
It sounds like Kyle Pitts was the very reason that Julio Jones wanted out.
Yeah. I,
Because
I,
remember, Kyle Pitts noise to Atlanta got real big around that time,
mhm.
and that when you started hearing stuff that's going on now.
Yeah. And that right there, when you talk about the Kyle Pitts aspect of things, I think he was in that position where he could have easily been, you know, a veteran mentor to him. I think Julio just he start hanging out with them Migos and doing some weird things and hanging out with certain people. And like if you for Atlanta, you know he hang out a certain area of Atlanta. When he started doing that, you know, we know what you. I look. I'm gonna just be real. When the last time you seen T.I. and Buckhead? I look. Come on. I don't see T.I. maybe in Bankhead, but Buckhead. When you start seeing stuff like this, man, it's like look that makes you look. It makes you look a certain way. And like I said, for me, when I look at this Julio Jones. When I look at Julio Jones and the things that he's saying right now, it's just like, bro, you ain't telling you yet one time to say, I'm sorry to my fans. I know, you know, me leaving and saying it like that, doing it like that, what I did, getting on national TV, he didn't even have a fucking he didn't even have the guts to say like a Grady Jarrett, get on his Instagram, get on Twitter, and send out a message to his fans. He didn't even have the fucking guts to do that. He gave us some bullshit and written apology and written bull crap that from the damn Titans. You wrote that shit. Your agent wrote that. You wrote that shit. This is the goofy shit. This is goofy crap that we talking about right now. And you still have yet to say, all right, man, look, that man stole $60 million from Arthur Blank. Stole it. Because he knew at the end of the day, and what is the truth, he'll never admit it, and hopefully I'm wrong about this, but he'll never admit it. He knew for a fact that he was physically unable to withstand the physical aspects and the rigors of the NFL and what it takes to be a wide receiver, a number one wide receiver. If he was going to get paid $20 million or close to $20 million every year. I mean, look, well, that's what makes him a jackass. He's a pure jackass. Because at the end of the day, fans are still helping you. They supporting you. These fans supported you and you feel in your head that you don't got to apologize to nobody when you literally stole a man's money, said that you was going, I want to be a Falcon for life. You took the money and said, nah, I'm out of here. And you feel like you don't have to apologize? Man, please get the fuck up out of here. Please. I want you roll down a grass hill.
I think that Falcon for life comment is what got a lot of people looking at him sideways because you made that verbal commitment.
Mm-hmm. That's a man's word is everything. A man's word is everything. Like when you say things like that and then turn around and say, nah, I'm out of here. Huh? What you mean? What you mean you out of here? I just paid you. And then you said, nah, I'm out of here. Without doing your job, because that contract was guaranteed money. That's guaranteed money to do what he said he was going to do, and that's be a Falcon wide receiver for life. That doesn't mean you're going to be a Falcon number one receiver for the rest of your life, but you said you was going to be a Falcon for life. When they give you that money, that's what you got to do. You could have easily just said, all right, I'm not the same guy. Let's make sure we get Calvin Ridley, ready to go. Because I can't carry the load like I used to. We would have respected that. But the fact you took the money, said I'm a Falcon for life, and then at the same instance, say I'm gone. I want him to. I want him to answer the question about. I want Harry Douglas to be a man and ask him these tough questions and not sit there and let his homeboy look like a fucking and lie to the media and lie to the people. I need him to ask Julio why didn't he answer the fucking phone for Arthur when Arthur came on national fucking TV and said Julio never picked up the phone. Stop being a bitch, Harry, and ask that man his fucking question. Be a fucking journalist. You're in the journalistic. You're in the business. Stop being a fucking coward and ask the damn question. This man out here sitting up here. This man doing all of this, and nobody answering him the question. Y'all letting him get away constantly, week after week, month after month, and year after year, lie and get away with not answering that question. Nobody asked him why he didn't answer the phone for Arthur.
I think one of the main questions that Harry Douglas has to ask him is because as we know with the Falcon fans is the rumor went around is you left because of Matt Ryan. I think he needs to ask him that question. Was Matt Ryan one of the biggest reasons why you wanted to leave?
Mm-hmm. Because he said some little slick stuff about quarterback. He said some little slick thing. It wasn't too bad, but it was real slick what he said about, I believe it was Ryan Tannehill at the time that was a quarterback for him. My thing is,
because that's the question that I need to know. Was Matt Ryan the reason why you really wanted to leave?
mm-hmm.
Because that was the notion around Atlanta since 2017 that Julio Jones was fed up with Matt Ryan. Like I said, we need to, like I said, we're gonna be honest. Just be honest about it.
So the question I have, Kev, is: do you think he was mad at Matt Ryan because he was being the company man or loyal to the company? He was too loyal to the company and not as loyal to the players.
That probably might have been it. That like you said, because that right there, and I will say this, and this is my personal opinion on it. That was one of Matt Ryan's greatest weaknesses at that time.
Yes,
he was too much. Like I said, he wasn't about what he wanted, but he was more so about what everybody else wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why when you seen how those teams were, being built around that time, it wasn't one. It was like, okay, I'm gonna do what's right for the team, instead of being like, okay, motherfucker, this is what I need. This is what I want.
I mean, if you're talking about he wanted a Super Bowl, like Tennessee wasn't a real reason. That wasn't a real option to go. He could have went to several teams that would have gave him the opportunity to make a Super Bowl. He didn't do that. He handpicked Tennessee.
And that's a good question because, like I said, if you really, really look at that Tennessee roster at around that time and that team, were they really a Super Bowl contender?
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, you got to ask yourself that. Was the Tennessee Titans in 2021, 2022, well, 2021, were they really Super Bowl contenders? Or was it the fact that he wanted to go somewhere where he knew somebody that was close to him,
Mm-hmm.
which was Derrick Henry? So that's a question. That's a question you got to ask yourself. What were the Tennessee Titans really Super Bowl contenders?
Yeah. But that team you're talking about at that 2020, there were even doubts that Derrick Henry wasn't the same type of running back, and then the quarterback position was all up. Like they made it because they had a good defense and they had a good offensive line. They had one of the better running games in the league. So it wasn't one of them issues where it's like, he got the same team from Tennessee. It wasn't the same Tennessee team when he got there. That was not the same team when he got there, Tanky Poo. Okay, it was not. I don't know what you saw and what you thinking, but that Tennessee team took a dramatic drop, and that's what led to Mike Vrabel even getting fired. You remember they was having a hard time with us with our non-existent defense. So my thing is, at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. You look at this situation, it just I just can't believe anything. And like I said, I need to see more of that podcast. I don't know if they've dropped the full episode yet, but I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it from Julio. I think he handpicks a lot of people that he can talk to, that he wants to talk to, instead of talking to people that's really going to ask him these tough questions. That man look, he did an interview with D-Led. You know D-Led gonna be professional. And and I know Julio had gave him, I can almost promise you that Julio gave him a certain amount of questions that he's gonna answer. All this is well rehearsed. This is well rehearsed with Harry and Roddy and a podcast, and it's well rehearsed right here with D-Led. So I wasn't necessarily gonna go long on this topic, but we do have the Ladybirds tonight. We did have the Ladybirds tonight, 8 o'clock. So y'all stay true to that. I mean, AJ Brown is one of those guys that was there, but again, the quarterback position for Tennessee was very inconsistent. Even when they were winning games, they were still inconsistent. And Tannehill and they had Tannehill. I forget they had somebody else that I'm not.
Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota.
What is Mariota?
It was Mariota.
So they had two quarterbacks there, and both of them was up and down. So like Tennessee, yeah, they were quote unquote contenders. They were making the playoffs, but like you look at a real shot for a Super Bowl, contenders and actually contenders for the playoffs and contenders for a Super Bowl, two different things. Two different things, okay? Those are two different things. And if you're gonna be honest about Matt Ryan didn't retire for Indianapolis because he could no longer play. Matt Ryan had one of the biggest deals in media right now, and he was gonna make more money. He was gonna make consistent money, and to be honest, like that Indianapolis team was rebuilding. That's what he wanted no part of right there. So, I don't think Matt Ryan retired because he couldn't play. I think some players just know if they can't play their best, they getting out of it. And that you saw that with um, Calvin Johnson. You saw it with guys like um, Barry Sanders. If they can't play their best, they getting up out of there. And I think that's what Matt Ryan did. So I don't think that Matt Ryan, even in that year, it wasn't terrible numbers. I mean, they got sacked. He got sacked a hell of a lot there. He got sacked more than he got sacked in Atlanta with Indianapolis. Look, I thought Matt Ryan was going to die a lot of times in Indianapolis, man. That's how bad that offensive line was. Even with a running back, they still was trash at protecting.
Cause you remember Jonathan Taylor that year? He missed about 80% of that
Hey,
season,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and that was right around the time where they was expecting Matt Ryan to be that catalyst player.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Jonathan Taylor? You know, I think I said Jonathan Noah, but Jonathan Taylor
Yeah.
was actually ranked as one of the top 3 to 5 backs in the league at that time
Mm-hmm. At
before he
that
got
time.
there.
Yep.
He got hurt.
Yeah, that offensive line was bad. So it wasn't necessarily Matt Ryan. That was like every time I saw the coach game, he was getting his ass destroyed. And he was getting hit and he was getting hit a lot. It just
Yeah,
came from a team just like that with the Falcons. So I just think he just got tired of getting hit. And plus the deal that he had on the table with CBS, I believe, at the time. Yeah, CBS.
yeah.
And it's like that was a no brainer. So that's it, kid. It's all you got.
Only thing that I will say about it is if Harry Douglas wants to get that podcast to get more eyes on him, I think he just have to ask the question: was Matt Ryan the reason why you wanted to leave? If
Mm,
he doesn't answer that question,
yeah,
they're still gonna get eyes on it. But if he want to get viral eyes and stuff, that's got to be the question that he has to ask,
question.
because the simple fact that that was the speculation that the Atlanta fan base had for years.
Hmm. So a question, Kev, before we kind of end it. Do you think he wanted out of Atlanta and he used that incident to try to help prove that he can do it without Matt Ryan? Because that was a major topic at the time. Did Matt Ryan make Julio? Did Julio make Matt Ryan?
That plays a part in it. That played a part in it. That play that like I said that played a good part of it as well. Because, like you said, that goes right back to what the Atlanta Falcon fan base was saying for so many years, is that Matt Ryan couldn't do it without Julio Jones. And remember, once that trade went down with Tennessee Titans, the Tennessee Titans automatically became Super Bowl contenders after
Mm-hmm.
that trade. They
Yep.
were perennial. They were a perennial playoff team beforehand, but when Julio Jones got traded to Tennessee, per the media, they were Super Bowl contenders, and it didn't play out the way that it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what ends up happening is when you look at Julio Jones's career outside of Atlanta, he pretty that the notion is going to be he couldn't do it without Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm. And now he
Just
has to
like
deal with that.
just like the notion that people say Matt Ryan couldn't do it without Julio Jones. Then, like I said, this is why I say Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are tied to the hip, because both players became shell of themselves once they didn't play with each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He said, even Cena said, if I can't wrestle at 100%, I'm done. And we see that now.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's the thing. I don't think Julio, and that's the dangerous part about being exposed to um, that celebrity and fame, that people really start to live in a fictional house, a make believe house. Like you think you really are above or a lot of things because people praise you. And I think that's the thing that Julio Jones fell victim to because you saw a guy that did not go out. He didn't hang out at the clubs. He didn't hang out with some rappers and all that type of stuff. And then later on in his career, after I mean, I wouldn't say late on. I think it was the midway of his career. He started hanging out with amigos and going out and wearing all these different types of clothes and hanging out with, having conversations with TOs. Julio never did that before. He was committed to football. And as soon as he
Right.
got that first contract, that's when after he got that first contract, that first extension, that's when you start seeing that Julio Jones change. We saw the change. And I think it was after the Super Bowl. If I'm not mistaken, it was after the Super Bowl we started seeing that Julio change. A little bit before, but like that's what we really started seeing in that 16-17 season. We started really see Julio. Because remember, he almost set an NFL record for the most receptions in a year with Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, like 150 something uh target. Like
You might be. I think
138.
no. You talking about that was 2015. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
2015. Yeah.
2015. Yeah, he had like 150 something targets and 138 catches in the season.
Yeah, he tied with Antonio Brown in
Mm-hmm.
receptions.
Mm-hmm.
But
They
you
just
know what?
started replacing.
Like I said, the Matt Ryan Julio Jones connection is equivalent to Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
It's the
Yep.
same thing. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. Antonio Brown had been the same receiver without Ben Roethlisberger. Uh, Ben Roethlisberger was trying to find himself without Antonio Brown, and it's the same thing you can say with Julio and Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
The difference that like you said, and like you said, and the thing about it was 2021 was the year where like you said, no Julio Jones, no Calvin Ridley. Think about that. You had the first round draft pick wide receivers around that time were no longer on the team.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
And
them.
and this is why Kyle Pitts get a lot of the flack that he get is because his greatest season is tied to the very guy that most Falcons fans despise.
Yeah.
I'll let everybody watch and tell me if I'm lying. His greatest season was tied to the very quarterback that they wanted gone.
And that right there. I think he was under a lot of pressure from a lot of his peers to prove that he's the greatest when he didn't necessarily have to do that. He was already one of the greatest, if not the greatest in Falcons history. But
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, not even just Falcons, but NFL history. He's one of the greatest of all time. But this is what this ego and that fame do to people. You start
Because
good.
because if you say he hanging out with the Migos and he hanging out with Ti and all them, you know the main thing they were telling them. Oh no, man, that white boy holding you back.
That white boy. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's all they told him. That white boy is holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask the people watching. Tell me if I'm lying. That white boy is holding you back. And I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you, T.O. said the same thing too. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see if somebody tell me no, yes or no.
Look, man. We heard Ti go. We saw him go to ESPN and totally shit on Matt Ryan, but give Julio props.
I'm still waiting on some responses.
Julio, hold on. Julio could be great players without each other. Julio still elite. Would be still elite without. What's a good quarterback?
I mean, he
Yeah.
had Tom Brady.
Yeah. I mean,
And like you said, and like you said, and just on the just on the notion of that, got Tom Brady. You had Tom Brady. That's what people like. You said, like you said, the thing is, the thing is with Julio and the situation with Atlanta, he wants to tell the truth.
mm,
He
mm.
no, I'm gonna say it like this. He wants to tell. He like you said. I feel like he's holding back as to why he wanted out.
I think that's exactly it, and I think
Uh,
it is exactly what you're saying. He wanted to prove that he can do it without Matt Ryan. That's what I really believe.
Right. And like you said, unfortunately, Julio Jones became an afterthought. Matt Ryan ended up playing 1 year in Indianapolis and had to hang it up. Like you said, it's just one of those things where if you have that certain connection with that quarterback wide receiver connection that worked and it worked well, and you literally have a situation where apart, like I said, it's like they were better together than they were apart.
And I don't understand why there was such a problem. I don't understand why it's such a problem. Why a guy that you made, both of you guys made so much money off of each other and with each other, had so much, they're going to go down as a top five quarterback wide receiver duo in the history of the game. Ain't many
Hmm.
better than them. You just look at the numbers in itself. Look, they literally a top five quarterback wide receiver duo and
Right.
numbers, and you still have a problem with that.
Yeah. So yeah. So my main thing is I want who I need Julio to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he telling the truth either.
I don't think. I think he lying. I think he lying like hell.
He using art and he using the right person. He's trying to he sit up here and even with the damn retirement thing, you could have easily said, "Hey man, Falcon man, I'm gonna go to one of these Falcon shows and I'm gonna call it quit." Matt Ryan did it.
Here you
He
go
can't
right
say
here.
that.
South. Here you go. Here you go right here. South side. Ego is the killer of many good things in life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. This right here, that quote is the quote of the day right there. This. We see this all the time. And that is a problem. There's a major problem. So, we ain't got any more. He said, Mr. Blank, that part that bothered me personally was the fact that he expressed that he wanted to be traded. We had 10-year relationship. We had good relationship. He was a productive Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you keep saying, my thing is, if you got a good relationship with the quarterback, your teammates, the owner, the general manager, most of the players there, most of the coaches there, you gonna let one guy. And a lot of times, like, let's be honest, how often are you gonna talk to your head coach? Most of the time, you're gonna talk to your position coach and your offensive coordinator. You're gonna be in offensive meetings. So you're not gonna really be talking to the head coach as much as we think. That's why you have position coaches.
See, that's the one thing I need to know. Who was the one that pulled the trigger?
Mm-hmm.
Was this one of those? Is either him or I? For what I think, for what I think that situation was, this was one of those is either him or me type of situations.
I believe so.
I think that's what it was. I think at that point, I
Julio
think at
tried
the
to
point
pull
in
a
time,
power move.
Julio and Matt Ryan were not eye to eye on. They weren't eye to eye anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the franchise itself had to choose between one of the two. And I think what ended up happening was they ended up choosing to keep Matt Ryan, and I think Julio wanted out. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And it goes back to what you just said. He got so upset that they chose Matt Ryan that he wanted out, and he wanted to prove that he couldn't, that like he could do it without him.
Mm-hmm.
And Julio, and like you said, Julio Jones disappeared from the face of the earth once
Once
he
that
left
happened.
Atlanta.
Yep. And that's the bottom line right there. That right there is the bottom line. Trying to do. I mean, the thing with that is that like that was a once in a lifetime type of situation, even Tom Brady, because like that was a defense. You don't get many defenses like that in the NFL that are Super Bowl ready. So he didn't really have to do much.
Cause you had to remember when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, people keep forgetting that the Atlanta Falcons, not the Atlanta Falcons, but Tampa Bay Buccaneers was a top 5 offense and a top
And
5
defense.
defense when
That's a
Tom Brady
once
got
in a
there.
lifetime. That's a once in a lifetime situation right there. You don't get that a lot.
Let me say that again for the people in the back. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at that time was a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense, despite them winning only, I think it was like 6 games that year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The biggest issue that Tampa had at that time was Jameis Winston couldn't stop turning the damn ball over. That was the
30
30 for
damn
30
times.
season.
Mm-hmm.
That was the 30 for 30 season. And then they fucked around and brought in Bruce Arians, who you already know is one of the major names that helped develop Peyton Manning. So everything lined up well.
You had one of the best offensive gurus in the league at the time. Tom Brady a number one ranked offense, a top 5 offense, and a top 5 defense. That was
And
one thing like
they brought his homeboy Rob Gronkowski out of damn
Gronkowski on
retirement.
top of it. Mm-hmm.
So
Going to Tennessee. That's it.
everything lined up perfectly.
Mm-hmm. So it's absolutely perfect. So we're gonna put this to an end and appreciate everybody for continuously supporting. Like I said, the Ladybirds tonight, 8 o'clock on Atlanta Falcons Nation. Head over there. But had to get this one out. And football season is right around the corner. And that's all we got, man. Appreciate it. We out here.